In a quiet green forest, where birds sang gentle songs and sunlight danced through the trees, lived a loving Papa Bear and his little son, Little Bear. Papa Bear was strong and kind, with a heart full of care. Little Bear was small, curious, and always eager to explore the world around him. Every morning they walked together, shared stories, and laughed beneath the tall trees. They were happy, and they were never apart. One day, Papa Bear said softly, "Little Bear, today we will see something new." Little Bear's eyes sparkled with excitement. They followed a long path that slowly led them away from the forest. The trees became fewer, and strange sounds filled the air. Soon, tall buildings rose high into the sky. Bright lights blinked everywhere. Cars moved quickly, and people hurried past. Little Bear looked around in wonder. He had never seen a place like this before. Papa Bear held his paw tightly. The city was exciting, but it was also loud and confusing. As they walked together, something colorful floated by. A bright red balloon danced gently in the air. Little Bear stopped. His eyes followed the balloon. Without realizing it, he took a few steps forward. The balloon floated farther away, and suddenly, Little Bear was no longer beside his father. Papa Bear turned around. Little Bear was gone. "Little Bear!" Papa Bear called out. His heart beat faster. He looked left. He looked right. Only noise. Only strangers. Fear tried to fill his heart, but Papa Bear took a deep breath. He stood tall and said to himself, "I will find my child." Papa Bear ran through the streets calling Little Bear's name. His voice was strong, but filled with love. Soon he met a small squirrel sitting on a lamppost and a friendly pigeon nearby. "Please," Papa Bear asked gently, "have you seen my little bear?" The squirrel pointed its tail toward a busy market. The pigeon flapped its wings and flew ahead. Papa Bear followed quickly. Hope returned to his eyes. As he walked, he noticed tiny paw prints on the ground. They led past shops, signs, and colorful stalls. With every step, Papa Bear whispered, "Little Bear, Papa is coming." Suddenly, he heard a soft cry. Across the street stood Little Bear, frozen with fear. Cars moved nearby. The city felt too big. Papa Bear raised his arms calmly. "Stay still, my child," he said softly. Slowly, carefully, Papa Bear reached him, and danger passed. Little Bear ran into a quiet alley and hid behind a fruit stall. Tears rolled down his cheeks. Papa Bear knelt down and opened his arms wide. "I'm here," he said gently. Little Bear stepped forward and fell into his father's arms. They hugged tightly. The noise of the city faded away. "I was scared," Little Bear whispered. "So was I," Papa Bear replied, "but we are together now." Papa Bear wiped his son's tears and spoke softly. "The world is big and beautiful, but it can be dangerous when we are alone. When we stay close, we stay safe." Little Bear nodded and held his father's paw tightly. Nearby, the squirrel waved happily. The pigeons circled above. Papa Bear smiled with gratitude. As the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, Papa Bear and Little Bear walked back toward the forest. Little Bear leaned against his father and said, "I like adventures, but I like home more." Soon the forest welcomed them back with peace and silence. Fireflies glowed softly around their cozy home. That night, Little Bear slept peacefully beside his father, safe, loved, protected. And as the stars shone above, Papa Bear knew one thing. No matter how big the world becomes, family is always the way home. The end.